Hi guys, welcome to Pixel Affair. It's Kobe here, and in today's video we are going to talk about Cinema 4D S26 Released. So the guys at Maxon finally released Cinema 4D S26, which is the subscription version, and they have quite some few updates and new stuff in there. So they actually focused on three main areas, which was modeling, simulation or dynamics, and rendering, right? I mean, for the modeling aspect, I definitely knew something of that sort was going to come. And but for the simulation and actually the rendering thing, I never expected it. There were other couple of tools are around, like a little bit of rigging, interface, workflow stuff as usual, which always comes in and everything. But then the main part were the modeling plus dynamics and the rendering. So with the modeling, there were quite a number of tools that they actually added, or number of stuff that they improved in there. So the bridge tool was actually improved, and now you can do a lot of interesting stuff with the bridge tool. It's like a new improved version of the bridge tool, which does a lot of interesting stuff. Also, they added something like a closed polygon hole. So it's actually something which is there already, but then with this time they also enhanced the closed polygon hole tool as well, and now you can actually close polygons with proper subdivision and everything, and it's very nice and cool to use. Again, there's the new tool. I think this one is a new one, which is fit circle. So you can actually select points around like an object or a measure, and you can actually make it a perfect circle so that you can make nice circular shapes in your meshes or in your model and stuff like that, which I think is very powerful and very interesting way of working. And it's a quick way of doing something like that, because it can be very hectic if you want to do something like that in like a very organic model. Also, they added something like the equal spacing and the set flow, right? So which that one too also helps a lot with the edge flow of your mesh and your topology and stuff like that. Again, they added the flatten tool, which also takes some polygons or some points and flatten it, and it's also very interesting. They added smooth edges, so you can actually select some edge and smooth it, like poke polygons. And among them all, my favorites, my actual favorite was the ZRemesher. And someone who doesn't do a lot of modeling and sometimes uses the 4D volume measure to do, or volumes to do some basic modeling, I can't overemphasize the importance of the ZRemesher, because using the volume to actually model stuff, you can actually do a lot of interesting things with the volume. But when you finish, the density of the mesh makes it so difficult for you to actually use it for anything useful. And the Remesher in Cinema 4D initially wasn't doing a good job, so it wasn't interesting using the volume to do model stuff. But now with the ZRemesher, it's really powerful, and you can see the way it works. It gives you a very nice quad and lower version of the objects, a very high poly object, and it keeps the detail, tries as much as possible to keep a lot of detail. So my favorite is the ZRemesher among all of these things. So next is the rendering part, and for this one I never saw it, or I never expected it coming. I knew eventually at some point Cinema 4D was going to have Redshift in it by default, but I never expected it, especially in this particular release. So in this release, what they've done is that you have Redshift that's shipped by default with Cinema 4D S26, right? But this is not the, I mean, actually it functions, everything functions as well, but this is not a GPU based Redshift. This is a CPU based Redshift. So anybody who uses Cinema 4D basically can use this Redshift. You don't need to have a graphics card, you can just use it. But then, like, it wouldn't be, I'm not sure it will be as fast as the Redshift GPU. In fact, EJ of iDesign actually did a little bit of comparison where he was comparing Redshift GPU with the Redshift CPU in Cinema 4D, and you could see, I mean, the comparison was like there's still some work for them to do. And after, but what he also did is that he compared this Redshift CPU with the physical renderer using the same renderer, and you could see the physical the Redshift CPU with the scene that he used to render was faster than the physical renderer. So it depends. I'm sure it will probably depend on the scene and other factors all combined too. So I can't straight authority, that one is faster than the physical renderer there though. But with EG's scene and example, the Redshift CPU was quite faster than the physical renderer. So that's another interesting addition to the Cinema 4D S26, and I think people will actually explore and have fun with it. So another addition which I actually not expected as well is a new sort of simulation system, which now introduced a new cloth system and a rope simulation system as well. But this time they work together as one. So just like in Cinema 4D, you having the classic cloth simulation in Cinema 4D, working with the spline dynamics in Cinema 4D, they work together. And one interesting thing about this one, it's quite fast, and it's very quick compared to the old system. But another thing is that with this you can work both on CPU and GPU, so you can switch it to your GPU and it can even run faster and all of those things, right? It works with all Cinema 4D forces and other stuffs as well, and it basically works like the Cinema 4D dynamic system, but then this contains only cloth simulation and rope simulation. And I think I never saw this one coming as well, but I think it will be fun to play around with this one. So aside these three main areas that they actually focused on, every part of Cinema 4D got a little bit of touch and everything. So there were stuff like task manager, scene notes, a bit of improvement and stuff in scene notes, general enhancements like animation, asset browser, performance improvement, UI refinement with stuff like that, and a whole lot SDKs and stuff like that. All of those things too definitely usually happens all the time. So that's basically about the Cinema 4D S26, and I'll actually get my hands on one and play with it and give you feedback how things. But I'm very excited and want to know how playing around with it will feel like, and the things that I'll come up playing around with Cinema 4D S26. Thanks for watching, and kindly subscribe to the channel if you've not, and if you've done, thank you. Like, share, and thanks for watching once again. See you in the next one.